Awesome. So I'm doing this as a test shot. This is kind of the behind the scenes view. I'm about to record my first podcast, and I want to make sure my technology is working right. So thank you all for tuning in. My name is Jeneé of Jeneé.com. I'm an entrepreneur and financial consultant. And I'll get more into an intro when I start recording for the podcast. But I want to thank you all in advance for tuning in. And just to make sure we don't have any technical issues, let me connect my charger here. So that way we don't get disconnected, because I'm not sure how long podcasts usually run, but I want to make sure that if this does go long, like some can, I've seen some go for like 2 hours. I doubt I'll be on here that long, but I want to make sure that we don't get disconnected. So I believe we're in a good spot. Awesome. So let's do this. All right. So I'll be recording this to SoundCloud. So if you look on the channel, in the channel art, you'll see the link to my SoundCloud page to be able to follow me there. Or you can just subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to continue to get alerts and notifications each time a new video is posted or each time that I go live. So make sure you subscribe and also comment down below to give me your feedback on this video. If there's anything that you'd like me to address in a future video in terms of financial questions, because the purpose of this podcast and this channel is to answer questions that you're to answer questions and give you information that your parents never taught you, your teachers didn't teach you, and financial institutions won't tell you. So because I am a financial professional, I want to make sure that I am catering to my audience, which is people who are just like me, first generation grads, trying to figure out how to manage their money, where to put it to make their money work for them. And so you can connect with me on Jeneem.com. That's JENEEM.com. And I'll be sharing more in just a minute. So you get more than what the podcasters will get, because got to get the video going before the podcast. So thank you all again for tuning in. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Let's make sure this is working right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Faith, Finance, and Forgiveness podcast. I am your host, Jeneé of Jeneem.com. I'm an entrepreneur and financial consultant, and I particularly specialize in helping first-generation grads figure out what to do with their money so they can pay off debt, build wealth, and create a strong legacy. So thank you all for tuning in to my very first episode on my podcast. Y'all, just to get this out of the way, like podcasting, like this is for people who are legit committed. And I'll tell you why. Like I remember having a conversation. So I'm in this mentoring group, right? And I've been in it for about a few months now. And I have an awesome business consultant / coach who is helping me and several hundred other entrepreneurs with building our businesses, monetizing our gifts and talents. And I'm just so blessed to be in this process. Nicole Walters, whoop whoop, shout out to her, is my business consultant. And so I'm grateful to have her as a mentor. So there are 2 other ladies who's in this process with me. And one of our assignments in the last 2 weeks for our high-level mentoring program was to solidify what social media platforms you were going to use. And so when we were talking about it, I was saying that I did not want to get on video because I'm learning as a full-time entrepreneur, like it's a thing to put on clothes. Like if I don't have to be anywhere, then there's really no need. So for me to have to get dressed up and then, put makeup on or not, and, do something with my hair to get on video, it was like, I really don't care to do that. I don't mind doing it. Like I did, the last 2 weeks I've been going live on Periscope in the meantime while I was waiting on my podcasting equipment to get in. But it's like that's not my preferred way to communicate with people. And when we was having the conversation, I was like, I'm the type of person that I like to sit on the couch or sit on the phone or sit in a chair and basically just share wisdom with people. That's what I love to do. And I've had people tell me that they love to hear me speak. And so a podcast just made sense. It's audio and, I'm able to, share wisdom, and I don't necessarily have to interact with people. Now, of course, I do like to interact with people. So please comment on the podcast and on YouTube. I would love to engage with you there. But it was low pressure, and so that's what I like about it. And I failed to mention before we opened up that this podcast is sponsored by The Blueprint, an online course helping people prepare financially for home ownership. So you can learn more about it by going to bit.ly/the blueprint to buying a home. That's bit.ly/the blueprint to buying a home. So, I decided to go with podcasting. And then with YouTube, I did some actual market research and reached out to my target audience, which is first generation grads, just like me. And when I asked them, when it comes to managing personal finances, what frustrations do you have? And then where do you go right now to get answers to your questions? Unanimously, people answered Google. And so as I did more research, I realized that, very obviously that Google is a search engine. And so when it comes to social media and marketing, YouTube is actually the second largest search engine right under Google. And it was a way for me to get on video. And so it made sense. Plus with search engine optimization, that will allow me to rank higher on Google. And then coupled with the videos, them two together, I believe would be a great combination to allow my target market to connect and engage with me. And then come to find out when I did some more research and started looking at people in my same field, which is, someone like a Dave Ramsey. He also runs a podcast and records his show on YouTube. And so that was just confirmation that I chose the right platform. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out your marketing and what your main platforms are going to be, yes, it's good to get on them all if you can. But when I tried to do that, I went strong for a good 2-3 days. And then after that, I just kind of felt spread out and scattered and all over the place. And so I just, ended up giving it up. But in terms of consistency, I was willing to commit to getting on the podcast every day. And every time I do the podcast, I'll end up recording on YouTube, which means I'm on YouTube every day. And so, I'm grateful to be here. So, just so you can, learn a little bit more about me. Again, my name is Jeneé of Jeneem.com. That's JENEEM.com. I'm an entrepreneur and financial consultant. I'm also a real estate investor, and that's one of the things that I do enjoy. The best way to connect with me is on my website. You can also find me on most social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Periscope. My handle is the same on all platforms at Miss Jeneé M. That's MSJENEEM. And just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm originally born and raised in New York City. My family, we all moved here to Richmond, Virginia, where I reside now, in 2006. They moved back, and I'm still here. But we moved as a family back in 2006 because that was the year that we found out that my dad was not doing what he was supposed to in terms of paying our mortgage. So our home was in danger of foreclosure, and so we were forced to sell, and we ended up moving here. We actually have a lot of family down here, so I remember that summer before we moved, or that summer that we moved, my mom, she literally packed us all up. We came down to Richmond, Virginia, stayed with some of our cousins for a week. She was looking at places for rent and got us signed up for school, and then we went back up to New York, and then a month later we became residents of Virginia. Now, my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his own business. He was in the Mr. Softy franchise. He owned about 4 trucks over the course of his career, which spanned almost 30 years. And he made really great money, quite frankly. My mom was able to stay at home with me and my younger brother. I actually have 3, but me and my younger brother were 11 months and 1 day apart, so she was able to stay at home with us for 9 years. Me and that same brother was fortunate enough to go to private school, and we went on vacations annually to Disney World and the Poconos as kids. So life was pretty great, and there was nothing that I asked for as a child that I didn't get. Plus, I was the only girl, and so I was daddy's girl, and so I was spoiled. I got everything that I wanted, and that's the life that I was used to. And then money got funny around high school, and then by the time I became a junior, that's kind of where it all kind of went downhill from there. So that's what happened, but I believe God does all things well. But our entire family estate was wiped out. My dad eventually ended up losing his business because after we moved down here, my parents did get divorced, and my dad just had so much debt that his business partner ended up buying him out. And we had sold our home. The first home that we lived in, up to the age of 4, we had sold that years prior. And then all the investments my dad had, he ended up accessing that money. One of those accounts was actually a trust fund that was set up for me and my brothers to go to college. So I ended up having to pay for school, unfortunately. But from the outside looking in, we were, your typical upper middle class African American family. And, unfortunately, my dad wasn't able to maintain what he had. And so that's why, as a financial professional, that is one of the places where I start with people. Like, you have to be able to manage what's already in your hand before you're able to get more. Otherwise, whatever you do with the little, you'll also do it with much. And, the Bible tells us to be good stewards over what we have, and God will bless us with more. So that's my story, and it's definitely personal for me. Since I'm somebody who basically had to start over as an adult, I don't take excuses very well, especially if I I don't do as much one-on-one help, but when I do, if you come to me, be prepared to work. I had to start from scratch because, there was nothing left when I became of age, when I turned 18, because when we moved down to Virginia, we ended up moving because my parents got divorced. We ended up moving every 2 to 3 years. And over the course of 6 years, we moved 4 times. That was exhausting, especially being someone who is used to growing up in a home. That's not the kind of life that I wanted for myself. And so I made the decision, at the age of, 17, that I wanted to be a homeowner, because I was used to living in a home. So when I turned 18, I immediately signed up for my first credit card and started establishing credit. I basically mastered what I could on the level I was at. So I started with building credit at the age of 18. When I went to college, I made sure I chose a college that was affordable and where I wouldn't graduate with a whole bunch of student loan debt. My goal was not to graduate with more than $20,000 in student loans. I graduated with $19,000 in student loans. And my first job out of college, I saved $500 a month for 3.5 years. And that enabled me to purchase my first home at the age of 25. So I will say I've done very well for myself. I was very focused early on because of the traumatic experience that I had with having to move the way we did and having to uproot our life all of a sudden. And so that's my motivation. I've always been a person that forecasts out, where I see myself going, and then I just put in the work, to get myself towards that place. And so, if you're somebody who finds yourself in a situation where you're not happy with the life that you have, I have some tips to share with you based on my own personal experience to help you with moving forward. But right now, now that I've achieved the home, my car is paid off, and now I'm in this process of building a business. My goals have changed, and thankfully I have achieved the goals that, I've set out for myself. But that's what it's all about. Like, you have to have a target that you're trying to hit, and then you have to, attach goals around that. And I hope that through me sharing this, not to put the focus necessarily on me, but to serve as a source of inspiration for you, because I'm sure that there are people out there that can relate to what I'm talking about and can relate to my personal story. I've had conversations recently where people have literally said, as I'm speaking, that's my life, And so I think it's important for us to be transparent and share our stories, because you never know what somebody else is dealing with, or how there may be similarities, and how just you sharing your journey can bless someone else. So, I have my house, my car is paid off. My focus this year as I build my business is to pay off my debt. I don't have a lot, but I do want to get that paid off. And then after that, I want to pay off my home as well. I have plans to relocate to Dallas, Texas, actually Arlington, Texas, in 2020. And so I decided to really hone down and focus on building my business this year, because when I transition to Texas, I don't want to have to worry about looking for work or trying to find a job, but I want to create a virtual platform for me to work through, so that way when I do relocate to Texas, I can literally get an internet connection, open up my laptop, and continue business as usual. So that's my vision, that's my goal, and that's what I'm working towards. And so this year I'm getting really focused and really, really specific on what it is I want to do. So if you're somebody who can relate to any part of my story, and you want to get to a place where you're pursuing your dreams and your goals, I want to provide some help for you. Now, my story is a little bit unique because of the fact that I'm building two businesses right now. Now they're separate, but they're very much related. So one is my own consulting firm, Jeneé Consulting, and that's the firm that is solely dedicated to helping first generation grads who never had money, and now they're making money in their career or in their business. They're successful, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to grow it. And so with that business, I focus on providing digital training products to help people with managing their money. I present it in the form of a video tutorial, so it's easy to follow along, and you have a downloadable worksheet to go along with it, so that way it's not just you listening to information. And also have a high-level training program called Wealth Building Accelerator. It's a 4-week-long program. I only run it once a quarter, and that program is basically providing a high-level training on the 4 different wealth building strategies that I'm specifically using for my own personal wealth building journey. So if you go to my website, jeneem.com, jeneem.com, if you get connected with me, I give away a free gift, 5 ways to establish generational wealth. And so in WBA, I talk about 4 of the 5. So one being insurance, one being estate planning, one being investments, and another being real estate. So those are the 2 main programs that I run. And once I have a few cycles under my belt for WBA, and this is actually brand new, I'll actually be opening up a place for students to actually become qualified teachers and competent teachers to be able to teach that curriculum. And then hopefully the goal is to culminate that training into a live training event. So I literally just came up with those last 2 ideas today. So I'm excited about how God has given me direction and clarity on what to do in my business. So I'm grateful to be on this journey. And my pastor, I go to Liberation Church here in Richmond. My pastor, Pastor J. Patrick, is preaching a sermon series on tap in, like how to tap in and really get ahead in life. And so he's teaching us about our instincts. And so literally I've been following my instincts to move me forward and make progress in my business to achieve what God has for me in this season. Now, the second business that I'm running is actually connected to the vision for my church. So, and that's honestly how I got to even starting my own business, is following my desire to, number one, get into real estate investing. That's something that I've always been curious about. And back in 2012, I attended a Rich Dad, Poor Dad seminar, one of those free one-day workshops that was like 1 or 2 hours. And then me and my mom, we actually signed on to do a weekend seminar. And then we signed up for a 6-week class on learning how to do lease option investing. And so that was the beginning of it. And we tried to do it on our own, and we didn't have much success. I tried to purchase a property on my own, but I didn't do it the creative way. And so that was a rehab property that needed to be fixed up, and I really didn't have the capital at the time to do it. And I ended up getting outbid for the property anyway, so I just kind of left it alone. And then as the church, which I joined in 2014, so 2 years later, as I started to learn the vision for the church, I learned about LFS real estate, and the church wanting to provide affordable housing through subsidies. And it began to tap into that desire and curiosity that I had for real estate, and I started to feel that come alive on the inside of me. And so lease auctions is very much the model that the church wanted to use, because it was wanting to provide affordable housing for someone that wanted to become a homeowner, but may not have necessarily possessed the credit or the finances in order to get it. So the goal would be for the financial literacy program with the church to provide support to them to improve their credit score and help them with using a budget and getting their finances in order. And then they would lease out a property from the church. And then at the end, of their lease term, once their credit was able to, credit score was able to increase, and they was doing a better job with managing their money, all of the money that they paid into it would be credited back to them, and they would end up purchasing the property from us. So that's how the process is supposed to work, and that's exactly how a lease option or creative financing deal works. And so it was just confirmation that this was something that I needed to do, especially because God connected me to Liberation Church. And so now's the time to do it, especially with me wanting to relocate to Texas, and especially with me being in ministers training now. I feel like God is like, you're at a point now where you have to start putting in the work and not just talking about it. As a leader in prayer, my faith is pretty big. When I pray, half the times I don't remember what I prayed. I just allow the Spirit of God to just kind of lead me. And I believe God for big things. And it just flows out of me, and it comes out of my, out of the heart flows the issues of life. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so when I pray, I just have complete and total confidence in God that everything that He said about me is true, and that He is well able to perform and manifest every promise over my life. Even the Bible says that, the promises of God are yes and amen. And so I believe that. And so it's easy. Well, easy for me anyway. When you get caught up in the Spirit, you're able to say things that you may not say in the natural, just to be quite honest. And so, God has really been dealing with me that, I want you to start walking out the things that you say. And so I'm literally in a faith walk right now, following my instincts and utilizing wisdom and prayer to just guide me along this path. And so, even in coming up with the name for this podcast, I was literally praying one morning about the name, because my other mentor, we had a class on marketing. And when I told her the original name of my podcast, which was Ask Jeneé, and I told her, I really wasn't getting as many questions to answer, on the podcast, and she asked me what the name was. She told me that's why, because people don't know me yet. I'm not going to get the type of response that I'm looking for. So that prompted me to start searching for another name. In the morning that I was praying for the name, someone on the prayer team literally texted me a name. And so I was like, that's it. Now I'm still trying to understand, what the forgiveness part of it means. And I did get some direction from the person who sent it to me. But faith, I am a woman of faith, and like this whole year is literally me walking in faith, living by faith. And finances, obviously, because I am a financial professional, and so a lot of what I do is kind of tailored to that. And then forgiveness, the way she described it to me was, people healing from past hurts to be able to move and operate in their giftings, which I think is very, very powerful. But I do need to continue to pray for revelation, so that way I can have my own personal revelation of what that means. But my initial thoughts are, especially with my dad, I was extremely upset and frustrated with the fact that, our family lost everything, and I had to work a lot harder than I felt like I should have, because I believe that there were things that should have been left to me to put me further ahead. And so it created a wedge, and, not resentment. It didn't necessarily create resentment, but it did put a bad taste in my mouth to even want to deal with my dad. But to be quite honest, with you, if that hadn't have happened, I don't know that I would have pursued, what I'm pursuing to this magnitude. So again, all things happen for a reason, but maybe the forgiveness part of the name of the podcast is, forgiving what happened, forgiving my dad's mistakes, and just, embracing and accepting the fact that it happened. Now, I do accept the fact that it happened, because it is what it is. Am I still frustrated about it? Absolutely. But I realize that my dad is, he's my dad, and he's not perfect. And we've definitely come, a long way from where we were. But, he's just a man, and he didn't necessarily have a model to follow after, because his dad wasn't in the picture. So he literally did the best that he could. And I believe that he did the best that he could. Now, could it have been better? Absolutely. But, he was limited in what he was able to do, because he was literally, learning as he went. And he just didn't have the discipline to maintain what he had. So, going back to those tips that I was talking about, just to share with you some feedback and perspective to help you move forward in life, and especially when it comes to living, walking, and operating in purpose. There's nothing like it. Now, yes, it will cause you to face your insecurities and deal with your fears head on, but it's very much worth it. Very, very much worth it. So my first tip is to dream, and to dream big. I am a dreamer. I stay in my imagination. And because I'm able to imagine things beyond where I am, it gives me something to strive for. It really does. Like with my house, I've shared this in previous broadcasts. I literally had idea of what I wanted my house to look like. And so when I finally found my house, it was exactly what I thought it should look like. From literally having tan walls, my house has tan walls, having a master bedroom, a master bath with a separate shower and a jetted tub, a walk-in closet, large counter space, and at an affordable pricing. And literally everything that I desired in my home, I got. So I would say dream, and dream big. Don't take any limitations off of you. One of the things that, well, not don't take limitations off, don't put limitations on you. That's what I meant to say. One of the things that helps me to dream big is to watch movies and watch TV shows. By exposing myself to more, it stretches my thinking and my capacity to desire things beyond what I see and what I'm used to. So yeah, dream and dream big, and don't put any limitations on yourself, because that's the opposite of what that exercise is meant to do. Number 2, once you start dreaming, follow your curiosity. You know, I was talking about how my pastor is teaching on how to tap in to access your best life, and he's teaching us about instincts. So you'll go throughout your day and you'll notice certain things get your attention, certain things interest you, and you want to learn more about it, and you should follow that. Like I talked about real estate investing. You know, I went to a free seminar, I paid for a free weekend event, and then paid for a 6-week class. And now here I am picking it up back off the shelf, and I'm starting to actually see traction, to connect with some influential people, gain some mentors, which I didn't have before. But if I ignored that initial curiosity, I wouldn't be where I am today. So you definitely want to follow your curiosity. And then lastly, you want to dial down and dig deep. So what I mean by that is, I talked about the real estate investing piece. And so now that I know that, all I want to focus on right now is investing in real estate, and then creating partnerships for the course that I created on homeownership, which will help with the church's lease-to-own housing program. Since those are my focuses right now, I need to go deeper. So what does that look like? So with those 2 objectives, those 2 places where I'm choosing to focus, with the partnerships is finding who would be a good fit for my course. So when I drilled down banks and lenders, because with the lease-to-own housing program, whoever applies to be part of that program is going to need a mortgage loan. And so what better way to link these people who's going to potentially go through this program than to create relationships with banks and lenders. When it comes to real estate investing, I had to choose which strategy fit where I am right now. And so I've chosen what that is. And now that, I've, made that selection, now I'm focused on my marketing. How can I start locating leads and getting deals under my belt? How can I connect with investors that will finance these deals that I find? And so now I'm going deeper and deeper into how to actually make traction and move forward with the investment piece. Before I got on to record the podcast, I'm actually doing more research on search engine optimization, because when it comes to marketing, I also have to do videos related to real estate investing as well. So you'll notice those come in. Because I am running, 2 businesses at the same time. And so I need to basically figure out, what my flow is going to be that will allow me to primarily invest in real estate, and then to do what, I've been saying that I desire to do for the past few months, which is to speak, teach, and travel. So that's all I have for today's podcast. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Please be sure to comment and follow me on SoundCloud and on iTunes. I'm not sure how that works just yet. For those of you watching on YouTube, please make sure to comment below this video and to subscribe to get alerts for future videos. Also, if you are listening on SoundCloud and you want to catch the podcast live on YouTube, just go to youtube.com, search for @Miss Jeneé M, that's MSJENEEM, and filter by channel, and you'll find me there. YouTube has this rule that you have to have 100 subscribers before they'll give you a custom URL, so you have to take that extra step in order to find me, but I am easy to find. And so again, this podcast is sponsored by the Blueprint, an online course helping to prepare you for home ownership. And you can find out more about that and even enroll at bit.ly/the blueprint to buying a home. So be sure to connect with me on my website, jeneem.com, JENEEM.com. And I look forward to catching you on the next episode. Take care. That was awesome. So I'm going to figure out how to save this and upload it to SoundCloud. I'm assuming that this will immediately save to my YouTube channel. So please make sure that you comment, like, subscribe. I would love to interact with you, and I look forward to catching you on another podcast. Take care.